Alrighty, hello. We're gonna start up with the episode here in just a minute. We're just gonna take it slow and get into this news, man. Some news content, react content. Should all be fantastic. Hope everyone's doing good. If you're not already followed, go ahead, give me a follow, man. We get into the news. We get into all the stuff, all the stuff and things, fucking news and shit going on, and just fucking the fucking man, what do you call it, man? I'm already off to a great start, aren't I? Identity politics, all that fucking stupid shit. Just give me a minute here and we'll start up. Ooh. All right. Follow for stuff and things. Hell yeah, man. That's what it's all about, dude. The freaking content. Give the piggies their slop, man. You know how it is. All right. So the first article we got is fucking a doozy, man. So as everybody knows, as all the freaking outlets have been reporting endlessly, the queen is dead. Long live the queen. Psych. And the British government are not happy that there are people criticizing the monarchy. And because they don't have free speech over there in the UK, people are getting arrested left and right, literally for just criticizing the concept of the monarchy. Like, you'll see how ridiculous this shit gets. Let's get right into it. All right, so here we have an article from Jacobin by Bronco Marcetic. British police are now arresting people just for criticizing the monarchy. The death of Queen Elizabeth II has sparked a welter of discourse, from debates about the British monarchy and the history of imperialism to sometimes embarrassing wall-to-wall media coverage around the world. It's also led to a shocking clampdown on free speech. The trend began before the British Queen had even died on September 8th, when Carnegie Mellon University modern languages professor Uju Anya fired off a series of strident tweets criticizing the monarchy. After Anya, who hails from Nigeria, where the British Empire ruled with brutal exploitation and violence, called the Queen the head of a thieving, raping, genocidal empire, and wish her an agonizingly painful death. Okay, now that's pretty fucking harsh, but I mean, she didn't threaten anybody, and she's like, I mean, the first part based, like 100% true. She has the right to be angry and upset over that. I mean, at the end of the day, fuck the monarchy. They're just a bunch of fucking pampered, inbred, fucking rich weirdos who are literally just leeching off of the fucking British people, man. You know what I mean? That's literally all that they are. Um, Twitter erased the offending tweets, citing an unnamed rule violation. The company had acted in response to a wave of criticism from other users set in motion by Amazon billionaire Jeff Bezos, tweeting his unhappiness. So our freaking lord over here, Baron Jeff Bezos, was mad that his fellow fucking elite fucking windbag got fucking harsh words. So he basically just bent their arm, used his power to censor, which, hey, man, everybody loves censorship nowadays, man. Even the left, dude. It's fucking shitty. Um, this early incident was followed by a series of detentions and arrests across the UK at royal-related public events, where protesters were targeted, even charged with crimes, by police for criticizing the British monarchy using language nowhere near as extreme as Anya's. They leached off the UK government, and the UK government got rich from leeching off brown people across the globe. Exactly right, man. You already know. Fucking the British occupation of India alone, bro, was estimated to kill like 1.8 billion people, man. And that was all just for their resources, bro. So the British East India Trade Company could get rich, and they could just have fucking cheap or fucking free labor, man. You already know how it goes, man. It's like it's a tale as old as time, man. Like, and literally, they're literal like fucking. It's like a literal like empire that they still have over there, kinda. I know they're not an empire anymore, but it's just like the vestiges of just like a dying, frail fucking royalty from some bygone backwards fucking bullshit era, dude, you know? It's wild they're arresting people in the UK over this. I know, dude. I looked up this article, I was doing my research for the day, and I'm like, dude, what? But it's like, even though America is super fucked up and we're basically a third world country when it comes to the way that we treat our citizens, the one thing that we do have going for us, in contrast to some places in Europe, man, is we do have better free speech laws. I'm a leftist who does believe in free speech, but I mean, I'm not like a free speech absolutist. I don't believe in like giving Nazis a platform or some extreme fascist bullshit like that. But I do believe that, like, come on, man, like, we gotta grow thicker skin than that, bro. And especially, and if you want to look at it just from a utilitarian perspective, it's like having laws that limit speech, especially in such extreme ways, like in the UK. It's like it just breeds, or it creates an environment where the people who have the authority to enact these laws can interpret them to just mean shit that they don't like, and that's often what happens with laws like this. You know what I mean? Let's see. This early incident was followed by a series of detentions and arrests across the UK at royal-related public events where protesters were targeted, even charged with crimes by police for criticizing the British monarchy using language nowhere near as extreme as Anya's. One Oxford protester was led away handcuffed, put into a van, interrogated, and told he would be interviewed and possibly charged, all for shouting who elected him in the middle of King Charles' proclamation. That's fucking crazy, man. They literally just have like the monarchy is just mobbed up. You know what I mean? Like kidnapping people, being like, motherfucker, what did you say? That's beyond insane and fucking ridiculous, dude. A woman was arrested at the same event in Edinburgh, for silently holding a sign that read "Fuck imperialism, abolish monarchy," again based, before being charged under a law criminalizing threatening or abusive behavior. What I just said, man, like whatever they don't like, whatever goes against the power structure, is threatening or abusive behavior. Edinburgh also saw a man arrested and charged for a breach of the peace after heckling Prince Andrew as he marched in the Queen's funeral procession over his long friendship with the late billionaire pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Andrew, who remains free and not charged with any crime, has been credibly accused of engaging in sex with one of Epstein's underage sex slaves and was stripped of his royal patronages last year as a result. So, I mean, again, you're going to see this the same shit, the same pattern. It's like, you said some shit that went against the monarchy, shut the fuck up or else. And that's just fucking insane, man. Like, what the fuck? These weren't even the most absurd examples. Barrister and activist Paul Powslin was threatened with arrest in Parliament Square in London. His crime? Holding a blank piece of paper and expressing the intention to write, so he didn't write anything at all, the intention to write "Not My King" on it. In a video by Powslin, the police officer can be heard telling him the message he hadn't even written may offend people. Incidentally, being arrested for holding blank paper is exactly what Russian anti-war protesters have faced under Vladimir Putin this year. And I'm glad that the article brings that up, man. It's like, these regimes may like put on a pretty face. They may act like they're like the beacon for the hope of the people and democracy and freedom in the world. All of them say this, and they are all just about keeping their own power structure, whatever it may be, in place, man. That's what happens when you don't have direct democracy, when people have been conditioned and tricked for hundreds of years, maybe even thousands of years, to obey authority, man. It's all just power politics, even the good guys. Exactly, man. Exactly. And it's funny that you bring that up, because our next story kind of has something to do with that, man. It's like, even people who are trying to do something good, it's like the realism of the situation And I mean that isn't like the reality of the situation is that the machine is so powerful and all encompassing. It kind of just sucks everything into it and repurposes it to further benefit it. You know what I mean? Like the next article that we have here is about progressives. I mean, doing what they usually do, man. When we had the huge wave of progressives that first came in office, um, I was really excited. Obviously, like I became politically aware, like maybe like 6 months to a year before like Bernie took off and the election and all that, and like democratic socialism, or he calls it democratic socialism. He's a social democrat, but even just him calling himself that kind of propelled ideas of socialism and communism and worker cooperation back into the zeitgeist. And I feel like back in like 2016, even up to like 2018, there was like a really large amount of optimism with progressive Democrats and socialists because of this wave. But it's been disappointing because most of the progressive, quote unquote, progressive Democrats have fallen victim to what you mentioned, Jokesa, power politics. You know what I mean? They got infected by the fucking brain rot at Washington D.C., and they just constantly kneecap themselves and are afraid to actually speak truth to power. And even when they do speak truth to power, they don't put any action behind those words. So what good is that? So we're going to get into this article, and it's going to talk about all of that. Progressive Democrats won't say if they'll block Manchin's fossil fuel giveaway. This article is from Jacobin by Julia Rock. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Joe Manchin struck a deal to fast-track approval of new gas and oil pipelines as part of a must-pass spending bill. House progressives have the ability to block it, but most won't say whether they will. As vast swaths of the country are being battered by climate-intensified droughts and heat waves, Senator Bernie Sanders just threw a wrench into Democrats' reported plans of fast-track approval of oil and gas pipelines as part of an unrelated spending bill. On Thursday, he pledged to vote against the proposal, even if it is included in legislations required to avert a partial government shutdown. So I know I just shat on progressives, but I do want to say that even though Bernie hasn't been as much as a fighter as I'd like him to be, and he has like stumbled in a couple of key places in regards to legislation in the past couple months and maybe a year up to a year and a half, he still has the most fight in him out of everyone there, man, because he is willing to do stuff like this that we're going to get to in the article, where he blocks legislation that the vast majority of his party is going to vote for, even though they will like write letters of disapproval and then vote for it anyway. You know what I mean? Bernie Sanders is one of the very few people who puts his money where his mouth is most of the time. And you can see in the polls, that's why he's the most popular senator, man. Just because oil bad for Earth, or is there another reason to block it? I mean, that's pretty much it, man. It's a giveaway for the fossil fuel industry that's in an unrelated spending bill. You know what I mean? It's one of those situations where they're trying to do something shitty and they're trying to do it in an underhanded way. So to try and make sure that people won't even realize that they passed it, they're putting it in a spending bill that's required to prevent a government shutdown. So, I mean, it's a common strategy where these lobbyists will basically, the lobbyists and donors obviously have the politicians in their pocket, and they'll, man, there's a point I'm trying to make. They'll write this legislation and make the politicians basically hold the government hostage until it gets passed. And most of the time, it's even more simple because the Democrats and the progressives, they're just dickless. They'll just be like, okay, well, whatever. Yes, please, we'll work together, and we're trying to triangulate and play 4D chess, which is just always an excuse to give the Republicans whatever they want, man. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, it is just about oil bad, dude. You know. Soon after Sanders' announcement, one Democrat, Representative Ro Khanna, told us that he would similarly vote no on a spending bill if it includes the pipeline measure. I'm honestly really surprised that Ro Khanna went along and did this with Bernie Sanders, because he's one of the people who I guess, you know, most people would consider progressives, but he is pretty much just a corporate Democrat. You know what I mean? He's a corporate Democrat that knows how to play the like identity politics game to his benefit, you know. But that being said, he has done progressive things in the past, like economically and, you know, pro worker and all that stuff. But he kind of is the least progressive out of the progressives, in my opinion, you know, or out of the least progressive out of the prominent progressives, I would say. However, House progressives have not committed to providing a block of no votes in the lower chamber. The pipeline deal was originally negotiated by Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Joe Manchin, who are respectively Congress's top recipients of utilities industry and fossil fuel campaign cash. One utility and pipeline company that could benefit from the deal has funneled more than $400,000 to Democrats' Senate and House campaign committees. So that's something I didn't know. I mean, obviously, I knew that Senator Joe Manchin was a huge fossil fuel donor. I mean, he's like a coal baron. He has his family has like one of the biggest coal companies in West Virginia. You know what I mean? So obviously, bills like this benefit him just because of his own company, as well as him getting money from his, I mean, basically his little cohort of fucking oil barons, you know what I mean? But I had no idea that Chuck Schumer took campaign cash from the fossil fuel industry, or that he was one of the top recipients, man. I mean, it's insane. Like, it's cliche, but it's true. Like, the Democrats and Republicans are exactly the same. The vast majority of them are just corporate neoliberal goons, you know what I mean? Just something out of a fucking bad cartoon, you know, the walking stereotype of just a greedy, self-centered politician, man. And they'll do whatever it takes to make themselves money and to run with all the cash that we pay in taxes, like out the back window, and give it to their buddies and these corporate boards, man. It's sickening. Schumer said Wednesday he intends to attach the permitting deal to a so-called continuing resolution needed to keep the government running. Presuming that Republicans will vote against any Democratic spending bill, it would only take 5 Democratic no votes to block the legislation in the narrowly divided House. And that's how fucked up it is, man. Just 5 votes from Democrats to stop this shit from happening. But they're all the corporate Democrats are just, like I said, in it for the money, so they're rooting for this. And then all the progressives, they have no spines at all. We have a decent amount of progressives especially in the House right now, and, you know, a couple in the Senate, but they're just so scared to go against the grain in Washington that shit that should be easy to block does not get blocked. Well, I don't understand. Like, are they getting blackmailed? Like, are they getting threatened? Like, it just seems preposterous that they just don't seem to have the ability to fight, man, you know? As of Thursday, at least 59 House Democrats had signed a new letter slamming the pipeline deal and urging Democratic leaders to ensure that these provisions are kept out of a continuing resolution or any other must-pass legislation this year that is necessary to avert a government shutdown. However, even as more than 650 groups are warning that the pipeline bill would be an environmental disaster, the House letter avoids going as far as Sanders. The signatories are not expressly pledging to vote down the spending bill if it includes that language. So again, you see the theme: all talk, no action. All these people are willing to say, oh, well, I don't like that, and you shouldn't do that. And it's like, well, what are you going to do about it? You know what I mean? It's like, they're playing politics without actually fucking risking anything, you know? It's just so pathetic, man. It's so pathetic and sad to see all these people who just got everyone's hopes up and then was just like, okay, well, I'm comfortable here and I want to keep my seat, so I'll just not rock the boat. I mean, that's what I think it is, man. What else could it be, you know? A spokesperson for House Natural Resources Committee Chairman Representative Raul Grijalva, who organized the letter, did not respond to questions from us about whether he will vote against a continuing resolution that includes a permitting measure. You see what I mean, man? Just fucking hiding from reporters because they're fucking ashamed of the spinelessness that they exude. In the face of the existential threats like climate change and MAGA extremism, House and Senate leadership has a greater responsibility than ever to avoid risking a government shutdown by jamming divisive policy riders into a must-pass continuing resolution. I agree. Again, what the fuck are you doing about it? The pipeline legislation, the text of which has not yet been released, was an outgrowth of a reported deal between Schumer and Manchin as a condition for the West Virginia coal magnates' vote for the Inflation Reduction Act, which includes other grifts to Manchin's fossil fuel industry donors. Leaked legislative language on an early version of the proposal contained a watermark from the American Petroleum Institute, a powerful oil and gas lobby. The American Petroleum Institute reportedly spoke with Manchin staffers about the proposal. So that means the company literally wrote this legislation, gave it to the people that they pay in the House, and was like, make this our corporate-made law. Get this passed. Make this a real law. So many of our laws have just been written by corporations, man. It is insane. Thousands. Because it's all corrupt. And this shit is legal. This is legal. They're not doing this in any kind of way that would get them in trouble because, I mean, it's they paid to get it like this when it was illegal. And now that it's legal, they're like, hey, let's go all in. Fucking crazy. Manchin, who is Congress's top recipient for oil and gas industry contributions, is specifically aiming to speed up approval of a West Virginia gas pipeline that critics say would release greenhouse gas emissions equivalent to 26 coal power plants or 19 million new cars on the road. Holy shit. That pipeline project is being led by NextEra, whose executives are among Manchin's major donors. NextEra donors are also collectively Schumer's second largest campaign contributor. The company has given more than $200,000 to both the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee and the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. So there you go. I mean, it's not new. It's been happening for years and years, decades and decades, working together to get all these corporate objectives put into law in office, into law, while the poor people just fucking suffer, get scraps, don't get any help. It's sickening, man. It's disgusting. And I mean, what can I say? The people that we put into office is trying to stop these people. They either start doing it themselves or don't do anything to fucking help, man. Come on. All right. Give me 1 second here. Water. All right, so this next story is infuriating, man. I can't believe that this shit still happens in 2022. So we got an article from the BBC by Sam Cabral. HIV drug mandate violates religious freedom, judge rules. U.S. healthcare plans that cover the main HIV prevention drug free of charge are in violation of the right to religious freedom, a judge has ruled. Employers are required to cover certain preventative services and medications in their insurance plans under U.S. law, but a group of Texas Christians sued in 2020 over coverage of HIV pre-exposure prophylaxis, or PrEP. So basically, we have this company that